All right, in 3, 2, 1.
Run! Go! This is the podcast!
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a podcast?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and
Podcast.
and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hey everyone, welcome to Get to the Movies. That's Get to the Movies with the number 2. My name is Diego D'Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
And previously, on episode 50,
Yeah.
there was a war. There was films that were bad or good.
Are we going to let him do this whole thing? We're gonna let
Yes,
him
you
do it?
are, because I'm still doing it.
I'm sorry. I literally got impatient immediately as you started talking.
Oh, great. So
I gave
screw
you about
you.
2 seconds and
I'm
I was
excited.
like...
Anywho, all right, so we're actually taking it back to part 2 of something we did in episode 50 a long time ago. I know everybody remembers it, which was bad movies that we actually thought were pretty good.
Yeah, movies
Yeah.
people hate that we actually love. We did this with Spaceship, so I guess we're only going to do this when we have guests on the
Exactly.
podcast.
Yes.
So today, we have a colleague of mine, Sobes. What's up, Sobe?
Did we just call him Sobes?
I did. I took it up a notch. So
Sobe. Does
Thank you
anybody
for
ever say
having
that?
me.
So-
But no, Sobes is something that I like. You know, if you want to have a pet name of a pet name, Sobes is what I go by.
Sobes. Sobe's already a nickname.
yeah.
You made a nickname out of a nickname.
yeah, I
This
did.
is like some Inception shit.
Definitely.
You have levels.
Cutting it short. Sorry.
But thanks for having me.
My
I was really looking
vocabulary
forward
is
to this.
short.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm very, very excited for this. So yeah, let's get started.
So
Yeah.
just a little something about him. We work together. So every day at lunch, we literally have movie conversations. I love him to death. But he knows we have a quarrel, which his movie range is really interesting. It's like something out of Addams Family. I don't know
What?
what to say about his movie range. Like he'll say he'll like this.
Yeah.
But I think you agree this because you liked Rambo.
Yeah. I
The
thought
last Rambo.
Last Blood.
Oh, I still haven't watched Last Blood.
What?
Oh, I haven't seen it
What's
either,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I know. My dad even watched it the other day, and he's like, "It was actually really good." He loves fucking violence. He got me into Sly Stallone and all that stuff, and he's like, "It's so much blood."
Really? The
It's
same
so
here.
much- yeah.
I was raised on Sly Stallone.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So was he.
So
And like,
that's
yeah,
my
it's
number one.
And
Yeah.
that's my dad who put me onto that. So he watched it the other day, and he's like, "It was fucking great. It's insane. It's batshit crazy. There's
really
a lot
is.
of violence." And he's like, "I loved it."
So
Right there.
Yeah.
See,
Right
so
there.
we actually can start with this one because I was disappointed.
Okay,
I
so you
really
don't
was.
love it, but did you love it?
I loved it, and
Okay.
exactly for the reasons your dad loved it, because you don't go into a movie like that expecting Oscar caliber screenplay and writing, anything like that. You go in there for extreme violence, seeing Sly Stallone, your idol, killing people that you really don't like, and it was everything I expected, and I had a blast watching it. And before I watched it, Diego was like, "Man, this is not good. This is not something that I went into." But I was like, "What did you expect?" Like,
So I expected. Here's my disappointment: is
Because he loves Rambo 2 and Rambo 3, which, let's be honest, if you rewatch those today, aren't the greatest cinema in the history of anything. Martin Scorsese would be like, "It's not cinema." So, but you're shitting on this new one, and I feel like there's no way that this is worse than those two. And I like those films for nostalgic reasons.
I'm not
but-
going to say anything because
Okay.
I don't want to ruin it for you. But
Okay.
my thing was that Sylvester Stallone wrote a lot of these,
right.
Yes.
and his writing is incredible. He's great at it. He's an entertainer. He's an artist at this craft from like beginning to end.
Rocky.
And even with Rambo 3, which a lot of people thought it was a terrible one, I liked it.
Yeah, I
and
like
even
Rambo
the
3.
last and
Yeah.
even the last
I.
one, even though he just like slaughters the hell out of people coming off of boats, like really fast with that big machine gun. All you see in the trailers, let the bodies hit the floor.
That's right. That was the song.
that
we
was the trailer,
Yeah.
right? I actually liked the story that was behind it, but this one, I really felt like this was just something to just, hey, let's just end it. Here you go, make some money out of it. And I'm like, yo, this is how you're gonna finalize this idol I had in my life.
But didn't it bring a personal element into it, which brought it back to First Blood? Because First Blood had more personal stuff, whereas
They
2 and
did.
3 didn't really have much. Rambo didn't even. It ends with him going back to finally going home, the fourth one. But
So, I mean, I would love to get more into that, but I don't want to spoil it
Yeah,
for you guys. But that is the one thing I truly love because it gave him that passion to really go out there and screw up these horrible, horrible people that are doing horrible, horrible things. And who better to watch do that than Sly Stallone? And I loved it. I've seen it about twice now, and I guarantee I'm gonna watch it again.
Wow.
I'm gonna watch it again just because it's Sly.
Now I just want to see it.
I just.
Because
I really want to ruin the ending. For
No,
you.
don't,
no,
please
no,
don't.
no.
And audience listening, I'm pretty sure a few of them have not seen it, so let's not. But it's a great
That's your
movie.
fault, people.
Highly recommend it.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up a film, X-Men Origins Wolverine. So now people are going to shit on me for this one. Because this was one that Deadpool...
I think people liked it.
people hated
yeah,
it.
Deadpool,
I instantly say
remember
Deadpool,
that,
and they're like, "Oh, that aborted fetus of a Deadpool character." It's the one where they like sewed his mouth shut at the end, and he just was like a zombie. It was ridiculous.
Wait,
He's in,
is that you?
Yeah,
He's
Wait,
in.
is that you?
He's in Deadpool.
Yeah,
Like
that's
the
right.
Ryan Reynolds
He shoots him
in that movie. Yeah,
in Deadpool too.
Wait, so you didn't like Origins?
I loved it.
I loved it.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It's like, but people hated it. They shat on it. It was a big, and they had to basically reboot in a way the Wolverine character with the Wolverine, which then they went into Logan and all that. But X-Men Origins Wolverine, I fucking thoroughly enjoyed. And I also really loved X-Men Last Stand. Like those two movies were the ones that were really like the bastard childs, the redheaded stepchild of the X-Men. Fucking Neil's over here already giving me the look.
Last Stand, I don't know. I
Really?
Loved it.
I don't think it's like a bad movie.
I'm not saying
but
it's
I
as good as the
wouldn't
first
say
two, but I loved it.
It's the least good of the
I,
three.
I would say The Last Stand was just the whole movie was just a one big climax. Like from the
Yeah.
beginning
Yeah, it
to
was.
the end, it was
Right.
just so fast, so action packed, and blink and you'll miss. And
It felt
loved it.
apocalyptic in a way. Like that movie, that was crazy. It had higher stakes than those first two. Those first two felt like Saturday morning cartoon adventures, whereas what I'm saying is like you watch the X-Men one, it just felt like the first two just had like a story that was good and had an ending or whatever, but like the third one felt like this is the end of the world shit kind of. It was like they just raised the stakes for the trilogy.
Did you just pull this out of a box? What? Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah,
Maybe it
exactly.
was just they introduced
Brett
too many
Ratner.
mutants.
Brett
or
Ratner
something.
came in and replaced
Didn't
Bryan
they-
Singer for that one.
Yeah, and they swapped though. Didn't Bryan Singer go and direct Superman Returns?
Yeah.
And then-
Yeah.
yeah.
Which we mentioned in our last episode. We
did
love
you
that.
guys? Okay, so that movie's already been discussed.
Yeah, we did
Yeah,
Superman
yeah.
Returns
Okay,
in episode 50.
Okay.
Do you just answer yes or no? You like it? Oh, we loved it. I loved it, and you loved it too, right?
yeah,
And
I liked
I
it a
think
lot,
you were.
yeah.
I was okay with
yeah,
it.
you were
Yeah, I
okay
was-
with it.
yeah.
When I saw it in theaters, because I was a big fan of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, and it's an homage to those films.
100%.
There were things I didn't like. I didn't really like Parker Posey's character in Superman Returns particularly, but I thought the casting was great. I loved the feeling I got from it because Man of Steel, the Henry Cavill films, I did not get that feeling
Get away from me.
of nostalgia. I'm not a bit like I Man of Steel, like Henry Cavill. I finally liked him in Mission Impossible Fallout, but the Man of Steel movies I wasn't a big fan of.
So you
yeah,
prefer Brandon Routh over?
Yeah, actually,
Wow.
as Superman, because Superman is for me is a very particular feeling, and I grew up. I had the Superman underwear. I had the Superman, everything, comics, everything, and
So
I
do
grew
me
up
a
on
favor,
those
duck
movies.
for a second.
I'm just saying, like so when Brandon Routh, I was like, he is a great Superman. If you rewatch that, he actually plays the duality of Clark Kent and Superman really well.
Yeah.
Whereas Henry Cavill, it's like the same guy. He just puts on glasses and a tie.
There is. Yeah, I never once felt like Henry
was two different
Cavill was
guys.
Clark Kent.
Yeah.
He did not. I don't think he
Didn't feel
nailed
like
the
two different
Clark Kent
guys.
thing,
Just
yeah.
want to bite people right
Brandon
now.
Routh,
He was a
Christopher
great.
Reeve.
I feel like he was a good Superman,
He was-
but he wasn't a good
was
Clark
fine.
Kent.
So-
Yeah.
yeah.
Henry Cavill was a different, more realistic, not comic book style film.
No, that's true.
And so
But-
I
you
understand.
need that
I totally
duality,
agree with
though.
what you're saying, but I want to make sure that people understand that. Like, I don't think Man of Steel. I thought Man of Steel
People will
was an
understand what
incredible
I
film.
tell them to understand. Okay?
There you go. I think Henry Cavill did a great job.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
I think he was incredible, especially the writing. And they wrote out that last scene where he literally had to kill Zod.
Yeah, that was a good.
That's
a good
just
scene.
like Superman doesn't do that.
I did
And
like that.
And his reaction to it,
Yes.
yo, I honestly gotta say, I think like I was heartfelt when I saw this iconic hero break down
Yeah.
because of that situation. And I'm like, that's an awesome Superman, right?
I really can't disagree with that.
Yeah.
And I completely agree where you're coming from
Yeah.
as well. Brandon Routh really was that homage to the Christopher Reeve genre. And I'm glad it happened because we got to experience that one last time.
Right.
Right.
And the movie was really not the best, but he was pretty damn good.
Yeah,
he
and
really was.
He really
to
was,
me,
yeah.
that made the difference. Like, if you can believe that a man can fly, that's what was in the tagline in the original poster. If it like, what?
I was just gonna say, without being like taboo, Kevin Spacey was a
I
great
mean,
Lex
I didn't wanna
Luthor.
bring that up.
No, I know nobody wants to say it, but he's better than
Gene
what's
Hackman?
his name?
Gene Hackman?
No, I know you're talking
not
about
Gene Hackman.
Batman versus Superman.
Jesse
Social-
Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
say Mark Zuckerberg, whatever.
Social Network.
Yeah. I didn't know Facebook was Batman versus Superman.
But going back to X-Men Origins Wolverine real quick, I think that's just a really fun movie. Like, you got
really
Liev
is.
Schreiber as
really
Sabretooth, and it goes through, he's in World War II, he's in the 1700s or something in the beginning. It's just, the whole
really
movie, I just thought it felt like a comic book movie, but in a
Right.
good way. And the later, X-Men stuff, they started getting away from that, kind of got more gritty or whatever, which is fine. I loved all of them, honestly. But I loved X-Men Origins Wolverine. I do agree the Deadpool character was kind of like, it was shitty. And even Gambit character was kind of underwhelming.
That was
Taylor
pretty, it was
Kitsch.
pretty
It's like,
awesome, man. I mean,
I loved Gambit in the original like comics and cartoon
Right,
and everything
yeah.
like that. But I
Right.
wanted them to do so much more, and I wanted him to get his
That's
own
my favorite
movie.
character.
Yeah, Gambit was my
Gambit, yeah.
shit, man.
Wasn't he just in that one scene and then?
Yeah,
I was
it
like,
kinda-
what the
I mean,
fuck?
he had
Yeah.
his moment. Like, he had his
He
moment.
did with his thing coming out.
Yeah.
But it
And
was.
then he flew him to the island
That's right.
and everything. Yeah, and brought and came to save him later on too. But he's like, yeah, I don't need you. Go away. But
Yeah, right.
I think it was a good portrayal. I'm not gonna lie.
So I liked X-Men Origins Wolverine a lot, and people chat on it just because I don't even know why. Sometimes I can't follow the logic. Sometimes the general consensus of something is just like, for instance, Avatar, which I love, and honestly, everybody else loves. You can all kiss my fucking ass.
Everybody else
Everybody
loves-
loves
There's a reason
Avatar.
why it was number one. It's
But
like,
then you
I don't
guys,
know.
When was
you
the last time you
fucking
watched it?
sheeple, a year or two ago, I own it. Then you sheeple.
I also own it. and
Went
I
on the
haven't watched
internet.
it since it came out.
Then
Oh,
you
I
should-
watch it, dude. I just recently got a new TV. I
Avatar's
watched
the
it.
shit.
I'm like,
Avatar is the shit. It's
so
a
good,
great
yeah.
movie, but
It
people
is.
come up with this weak argument. It's just Fern Gully. It's just Pocahontas. I'm like, that's weak. That doesn't
It's
mean
both of
anything to
those
me.
things.
but here's the thing.
That doesn't mean
Even if
anything.
it is, was it good? It was good.
It was a
Yeah,
great
good.
fucking
It was
movie.
number one for a long time.
I just when people start putting it on like top 10 greatest films ever made lists, I'm like, you're insane.
Well, they do that with
Like,
2001: Space Odyssey. You know my argument with that. I'm like,
What's your argument?
wow. There
it's
is
not
no
the greatest
argument.
movie ever made. It's a great visual movie. I think the story itself is an LSD's fucking nightmare. It's not actually
It's timeless. It
if
was
you wanna
timeless
say-
the year it came out.
It's timeless because it
man.
never had any time. It never lived in its own time. It's out of its fucking mind. The only reason it
That's
got
what I'm
big was
saying.
because people would drop acid and go to a midnight showing and fucking trip out on the
guy
kaleidoscope
hates
scene that goes
Stanley
on for
Kubrick.
15 fucking
This
minutes.
guy hates Stanley
Anyways,
Kubrick.
I actually think visually, like you watch that movie today, it looks better than like Star Wars, which came out 9 years later. That movie came out in 1968, and it still
Oh, just the
looks
house.
incredible.
The house with fucking dolphins in it. Are
It's
you kidding
insane.
me?
That movie's insane, and it really is great. But when people are like, it's the greatest movie ever made, I'm like, you can only be the greatest movie ever made if you're firing on all cylinders. And,
Right.
and when it comes to story and character development, all that shit is it's bullshit. It
Right.
doesn't hold up to
Right.
anything.
But
and
it's
that's,
definitely in the top 10.
no. Not really.
Not your top 10.
Not in my top
but like,
50.
It's a classic
The world's
film.
top
It's
10.
a respectable classic film that has.
I would take-
did fire on all cylinders, and it
I
was
would
very
take
well.
Doctor Strangelove, which is
Over that?
Kubrick film, over that any day.
I mean, I would take The Shining over that.
You would
but-
take most fucking Kubrick films over that, honestly, because it's a good
Clockwork
Full
Orange.
Clockwork Orange, even
Yes,
that has
that's
like more of
what I'm
a
thinking.
yeah, or Full Metal
Great
Jacket,
movie.
or
Right.
even fucking Eyes Wide Shut is actually a great
Phenomenal
movie.
film.
You know, we always just talk about the orgy scene, which is like 10 minutes of the fucking movie.
Right.
The whole movie is
You gotta
like,
watch that director's
Tom
cut.
Cruise is killing it.
What is it, like 20 minutes?
That's a 20-minute orgy.
Yeah.
He's just walking for 20 minutes. And I'm like, are all these people just like, signed up for this? Like, I guess they filmed it in Europe, so that's like normal or whatever.
Yeah.
over there.
That's
I
just
don't
like,
know.
yeah, and we're gonna get a piece of bread.
But Eyes Wide
Yeah,
Shut is
yeah.
actually maybe that's another example. You don't hear people talk about that movie enough, but that movie is great. That was Tom Cruise at the pinnacle of his acting. That was around the same time he did Magnolia.
Right.
I mean, when people go, Tom Cruise can't act, I'm like, you're out of your
Well, I don't
fucking
know.
mind.
Born on the 4th of July is probably
Yeah, he got
still
nominated for an
today
Oscar
my
for that.
favorite acting
For him?
performance, like performance as an actor.
I think for me, it's
yeah.
Magnolia.
I think Tom Cruise
Les
is
Les
Grossman.
Grossman,
Les
yeah,
Grossman.
Tropic Thunder, like
Oh,
Les
yeah.
Grossman.
kills it. So if anybody goes, Tom Cruise acting, I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. Like,
yeah,
just
I
go
think
watch
that's
any
the
of
hard
these
thing
films.
about Tom Cruise. Here's the thing that I love about Tom Cruise is I always, whatever movie he comes out, even The Mummy that people didn't like.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
he brings quality to film.
Yeah.
His presence brings quality to film.
Right.
And you, even if the movie's not great, you still love watching him.
The game
Yeah,
seems like the bar
exact-
seems like it's raised whenever he's in
Yeah.
a movie.
There's a reason why people are like, I hate Tom Cruise. I'm watching this movie right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, dude,
I haven't
really?
liked any of the last 50 movies I've seen of him. Why are you watching 50 movies of a guy you don't like?
Him, right?
I feel like Will Smith is like not quite there with like that level,
Yeah.
but it's a similar thing where people
Right.
will go see a movie only because Will Smith's
Which
in
doesn't
it, but then
happen
it's,
that
like,
much
not-
anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, he's starting to lose it.
They
'Cause
can't-
I
well,
still
no,
haven't
but-
seen Gemini Man, and I wanted to see that.
I wanna see
He
that.
lost it
Aladdin.
after
Has anyone
Hancock
seen
because
this?
until Hancock, pretty much his last 8, 7, 8 movies, every single one of them grossed $100 million.
Yeah.
Right.
Post Hancock, I think 7 Pounds was it right after that.
Right.
And after that, it was just a
Yeah.
complete steep decline.
Yeah.
Gemini Man has been ridiculed.
Yeah.
Horribly ridiculed. Have you seen Tango? I think you saw it, right?
It's
no,
Ang
I
Lee,
did not.
right?
I've been.
This
trying
might
to
be what has no one seen it?
No, I haven't seen it because I want the hype to get away from me before I watch
Yeah.
it because I love.
but
Will
Bad
Smith.
Boys for Life,
No,
we liked.
I want.
Oh,
yeah,
Great.
that's
That was
a-
great.
I
That
want to
was
fully
great.
respect the film if
And
it's bad.
I thought he was great in Aladdin. Like we loved him.
But
in
every
Aladdin.
one of
We saw
those
that
Disney
shit.
remakes
Really?
all made like $1 billion. They're all
He made
they're all gonna
Aladdin.
make money no matter what.
I think he made
Aladdin
Aladdin.
wasn't a great film, but he made Aladdin.
He definitely.
The Aladdin
I
got
thought the
to.
whole
I
film.
thought the actor who played Aladdin and
did I.
Jasmine, I
Jasmine.
thought both of them were like
Jafar
very
was
well
actually even
cast.
better than
And
I
even
thought
Really?
Jafar, I thought was
Yeah, I
really
love that
good.
movie.
Wow.
I loved it.
Abu was the best.
I mean, we're talking about a Disney animated film that's adapted to like they had to flesh the shit out of this.
I thought the parrot
simple
did the best.
story.
That was great casting. that
Iago.
parrot.
Yeah, they didn't even fucking. They didn't even bring
yeah.
Gilbert Gottfried into
Yeah.
that one.
Don't bring that up. That's upsetting. Why can't we have a talking bird? Like, I mean, he did talk, but it was like,
Mulan's
he
not
just,
gonna have
like,
any of those
mimicked.
talking like any of that
Mulan
shit.
shit, yeah.
Mulan looks fucking.
Isn't it
fire.
like apparently like PG-13 or something?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mulan.
And the
Yes.
first like live
Wow.
one of these remakes
is not PG. It's
PG-13,
PG-13.
yeah.
Yeah.
I recently read something like that, so shit. I was
Right. Yeah.
excited to begin with. Now I'm even more excited.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some other bad movies. Like for example, let's go around and let's ask each one of us that what do you consider which was considered a horrible movie, but it was freaking amazing. So we'll start with you.
A horror. Well, the only movie I could think of was The Happening. I actually really liked this
Yo,
movie.
I did too.
Yeah, I did too. Okay, we
I
got
liked it.
one. We got one. Have you seen
liked
this
it.
movie? I like it. No, I recognize it's not good, and Mark Wahlberg is fucking awful. But like, I watch that movie, and it's like a comedy to me, and it's so endearing, and like even
You're
it's,
the reason movies like The Room are
No,
considered
no.
critical
Every
darlings.
scene
now.
in
Wait,
The
who has
Happening-
seen this
every
movie?
scene
Everyone's
in The
seen it.
I
Happening-
still
Right?
haven't seen it.
Every
Oh,
scene-
he's
You
never
haven't
seen
seen it?
it.
I haven't seen it.
Holy shit, we
You
need to
haven't
watch
seen
it.
it
I
happening?
haven't
gotta
seen The
see it.
Happening. I think I brought this up like 20 times in this podcast.
Here's the-
Because
Here's the
I
problem
mentioned
with The
this movie
Happening.
multiple times.
The
People
most
hate this
monotone
movie.
performance of all time.
Yeah.
Here's the
Mark
problem.
Wahlberg. Great.
Here's the problem with The Happening is
Yeah.
that every scene with Mark Wahlberg
It's
is
amazing.
him staring out into
He's
the
just totally
clouds,
confused. He's just confused
That's
the
all
whole
he
movie.
does.
He's a
Sorry.
meme. He's a meme.
It's like the title comes on, he's like,
But it's almost like he was like that. M. Night Shyamalan had to have directed him that way. There's no way he came up with this character and was like, I'm just going to be dumbfounded in every line in this movie. I'm just going to be like, I don't know what's
they're
going on.
coming, run.
You know, a lot of people said he was miscasted.
I'm sure he
Yeah,
was,
he really
but
was.
but it's almost like I just don't know. I don't know if like people are arguing that like M. Night Shyamalan did it on purpose. Like he's too smart to have allowed this
Is
to be
he?
released in
Is
this
he?
way.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Are you
is he-
do you hate watch this movie? Sort of like Independence Day 2? Like
That does-
I don't know what it is. There's something about like the music I think is really good. The story is kind of interesting, and like the mystery that they
Yeah.
create. John Leguizamo is like really great, even though he's only in the movie for a little
I
while.
love him. He's great in everything though.
But
It's
Mark
a great
Wahlberg is not
montage.
great.
Yeah,
Zoe
it's
really-
Deschanel
Yeah.
is not good. Mark Wahlberg's not good. But they're like good bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're
but
bad
the wind.
good, bad good.
I mean,
Good,
the
bad,
wind
bad, good.
really.
and well. The wind, yeah, there's a lot of wind in this. There's a lot of scenes where there's like wind blowing things, but they explain why. I don't want to spoil it for
No,
Nick
no,
because
no.
I feel like he hasn't seen it yet.
It's a
but-
total monotone film.
It really
is.
is.
But
no, there's like crazy scenes where it's like the kids with the farmhouse, and then they're like screaming
And the whole, like,
and then
everyone
the
jumping off the
shotgun,
building.
and you're like, what the fuck? Like it's his
Right.
first rated R film,
Yeah.
so there's all these like weird, violent
yeah,
things
that
out
was
of
a big
nowhere,
deal. Yeah,
where
I
you're like, what
remember.
the fuck? So we need to watch it. We need to
Yeah,
sit
that
down
was
and
a
watch
big
it.
deal. Oh my gosh, Shyamalan's first R-rated film.
Yeah.
Like,
But it was like weird R-rated. It was like a iPhone 3G or some shit with like animals like just ripping people's arms off
Right.
or whatever. And you're like, that's what he chose to do with his rated R film. Have like this horrible CG.
There's like no cursing in it, no nudity.
No,
It's
nothing
just
like
cell
that.
phone,
Son of
cell
a
phone
gun.
violence.
Just
There's
a
some
lot of
violent
violence. A
scenes,
lot of
but
violence.
there's yeah.
but it's like weird violence.
There's like blood.
Yeah.
like,
Tinted.
how about you?
I think I have a list here, but I was gonna say Howard the Duck, but what I'm gonna actually say,
That's a great film.
I know
Thinks that's a bad movie.
a lot of people,
A lot of people.
Really?
a lot of people.
Wow.
Such
Well,
a-
then literally somebody's reading
all those
Play
who
Duck
think
in the
Howard
beginning.
the Duck sucks.
It starts on
Sucks
Howard
for
the
you.
Yeah, it starts.
Who was the actor who played him? Was it Warwick?
Steve
Davis?
Buscemi voiced
I
him,
don't
I think.
think it were.
Steve Buscemi, I think, voiced him.
Are you sure? I'm not sure about either one of these things. Warwick Davis and Steve Buscemi collaboration.
I don't know. I have to look it up
but
now.
Data check.
that
data
movie
check.
literally starts. First off, this is George Lucas's darling, and he was like, "This is gonna be my masterpiece." After he's already done Star Wars and Indiana Jones, he's like, "Next, Howard the Duck,"
It is a pretty,
which is a Marvel character,
it's
by
a
the way.
very well done film.
Yeah.
So that movie starts with on Howard the Duck's planet, and there's a scene where the duck is reading Play Duck, which is like Playboy. But
Oh,
for
there's
ducks.
duck boobies.
There's duck movie. They show
There's
the
straight duck boobies in,
yeah
in the beginning
Leah
of this
Thompson,
movie.
Jeffrey
Leah
Jones.
Thompson almost bangs this duck.
She certainly does.
There's that scene
It's-
where they're in the bedroom, yeah. And I was watching, I was
She
like,
kisses him.
is she gonna bang this duck?
she
Like, I don't
kisses him a
remember
few
this at
times at
all.
least. in the movie.
She
Feathers were
puts her
flying.
mouth where the bill is. Yeah, it really is.
Really?
Yeah.
I caught that. Nobody.
Yeah,
thinks
yeah,
it's-
yeah.
Is this actor? He was in Willow. This guy, Ed
Oh
Gale.
yeah. That, he does look like he was like
He might.
he played
Wait,
one of
he
the guys
died,
in the
right?
village.
I don't know.
Didn't he?
Okay, but who does the voice?
No,
though? I'm
he's
curious
still
now.
alive.
Steve
So
Buscemi.
I saw it. It wasn't. It's
You know they're
not.
doing Willow.
Some
right?
random
Buscemi,
person.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Anyway, so what the movie I was gonna say though is Crash, which won the Oscar in like 06,
How-
07.
wow.
How is that bad?
No, a lot of people shit on that movie and think it should not have won the Best Picture.
because
not
they
only
wanted
should
Broke
it-
Back to win.
Yeah, exactly. But what that does sometimes when a movie wins is it then starts to go in reverse and people start hating on it,
Like The
and then
Artist?
shitting. The Artist is a great example. Even La La Land after Moonlight was announced, and then La La Land. Now people shit on La La Land to a degree and be like, it's not that great. They almost like they attack it because it won over something they think is superior,
Better, yeah.
and then it just gets. It's this generality thing, obviously, but Crash I thought was fantastic. When I
Phenomenal.
first saw that, I wasn't paying attention to award season stuff, critical stuff. I watched the movie for what it was, and I was like, the twists and turns and connections in that
Non-linear
movie.
storytelling is
Yeah, the
incredible.
non-linear and the whole thing with Matt Dillon and he like sexually molests and like assaults basically this woman
Right.
and then has to save her life.
And
the
the
next
way
like a
she
cop.
embraces
yeah, he's a
him
cop.
after, oh my god.
Yeah, he's
what a
basically like a
powerful
racist
scene.
and a rapist and all these
Right.
things. And then you put him in a situation where the next day or like a couple days later, he has to save her life and
Right.
she sees him. She's like in a car
like,
wreck.
"Get away from me,
And
I
he's
don't-"
trying to pull her out and she won't. Like that kind of drama, like that storytelling is so phenomenal. I was watching going, holy shit, this is. What do you do in that
yeah.
situation? And it was just ripe for conflict and drama.
And Brendan Fraser's in that movie.
Brendan Fraser and
Sandra
Lorenz
Bullock.
Tate and Ludacris.
He's her.
and-
He's her husband.
Sandra Bullock's
right?
husband.
Sandra Bullock is
Sandra-
even
that's
great
right.
in it. Sandra Bullock and that scene where they're like out there and they're talking all that socio-political stuff for
Right.
black people, and then they pull the masks on, they rob that car. Like just all those little unpredictable twists and turns, and Sandra Bullock, being racist against her housekeepers or whatever, and then she falls down the stairs and she needs the help from the person she's. They kept doing that.
And the one thing I want to put out there, the Muslim guy, who
Yes,
tries to
yes,
shoot him.
yeah.
And in the end, he's sitting. He's like, "She's our first day." That means an angel. And
Yeah.
that scene was so powerful
Right.
that he's just sitting there embracing, like, I messed up, and
Right.
this little girl is gonna be our savior. And it was
and
phenomenal.
the daughter put the blanks in, and then you have the whole what's his face
Michael Pena.
Michael Pena. He's doing the whole thing where like you see him and you go, oh, Mexican gang member. Like you think the whole
Sandra
movie is
Bullock's
playing on your incorrect perceptions or your stereotypes in your head, and you see him and he's like got the shaved head, he's got the tats and whatever. So you're like, oh, criminal. But no, he's not at all. He's like a
Complete
loving
opposite.
father and husband,
Right.
and he's a hardworking guy. And it's like, I just love what that movie
Right.
did.
Phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
It really was.
The writing.
Better than Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, it definitely is, man.
I
How
like
that-
Brokeback Mountain actually a lot, like in terms of acting and shit
Right.
like that. But like, and without that, we might have Heath Ledger as the Joker because Christopher Nolan saw that movie when I Need a Fearless Actor and then cast him as the Joker.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
he may
so-
also still be alive.
fuck.
Wow.
Yeah, come
Think
on.
about that.
Damn, bro.
So you
Damn,
normally
bro.
see Neil and you think he's not a piece of shit. He's a good guy, but actually he's a piece of shit. Should have had a story about you in
I
Crash.
mean,
Shit.
the public got the Joker, but he lost his life. So
Holy shit, dude! How do you take a comment and go to the next level and make it worse? So there you go.
I'm just keeping it real.
You
yo.
should
Is that what that
real.
is?
Let's
If
keep
you
it
think that,
real.
you should see Michael J. White's snippet interview on Collider.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
You saw that, and he really breaks it down. Like this was all just in people's head. They wanted to make this up.
Yeah,
He
he's
was
an actor.
having his
Oh, that he
ball.
was
Yeah,
connected.
when in
Right.
between scenes, he was
like joking
Yeah.
and everything.
Right.
You should
Yeah.
look at that.
Yeah.
Diego, you're
It's the media. It's the media.
Fake news.
Diego,
Fake
throw a bad movie out
All
there.
right, I'm gonna throw a bad movie out there. A lot of people don't like this movie, but I actually don't think it was even close to as bad as people are saying it is.
Yeah.
Which is John Carter.
Ooh,
Oh,
nice.
I really like
Nice.
John Carter. Yeah.
Nice.
I liked
Taylor
it.
Taylor
Taylor
Kish.
Yeah.
Gambit.
Yeah.
He was great.
Like
Gambit,
Gambit
yeah.
too. Yeah.
Gambit.
I
Yeah.
think that
Battleship.
there's a reason.
Battleship. Yeah.
Battleship's a good time. But I think John Carter. I don't know.
It was a really good movie.
I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was a great story, and it did. It wasn't like no award winning. It wasn't
Yeah.
anything on the high specs of great films, but I thought it was a good movie.
It got
and
shat
for,
on.
for
Yeah.
Pixar putting that out there. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe people just was like, this is out of the normal of Pixar. I don't want them to do a film, and then just hated on it or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
why
know why
people
it
hated
didn't
on
Apart
it.
from that, it was just that it was considered like such a huge budget, and I think for that
Yeah,
time it ended up
flop.
being
Here's
the
their biggest budget.
flop of all
Biggest
time
flop.
for
I think it
Disney.
still is.
Yeah,
It still is. It
They had
probably
like
still
200.
is.
They had right off like 200.
It's on Disney
250 million.
Plus if people want to watch
It's
it.
a great
And
movie.
I did. I watched it.
Saw it
again.
in- saw it in
I
theaters.
liked the
I
movie.
liked
Great.
it.
Yeah,
I
I
saw
don't
the
know
theaters
why.
too.
It must have been a timing thing or a promotional thing. Like
People had also fatigue at that time, and still do to a degree of these just kind
And
of
the marketing
more
was horrible.
generic. Yeah. The marketing was
marketing was
actually really
horrible.
bad because when I saw the movie, I was like, I didn't really get that this was a storyline from the preview. But also, it's just like people had that fatigue from like the over CG kind of thing. It was like
it's good.
That
It,
could
it
be
sounded like
good.
the sword.
Like
the
it
sword
holds
and
up.
Today, there are just certain things you can't really do very well, like sword and sandal epics don't do well anymore, but they were huge back in the 50s.
Well, let's see.
and-
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are about to come out with one with Ridley Scott. You guys hear about this one?
Which one?
So Matt Damon, Ben Affleck wrote a script. I think it's called The Last Duel, and they went to Ridley Scott to direct this. And Adam Driver's playing one of the main leads as well. I think
wow.
that can
Well,
be
that
the
cast.
next sword and
Well, the last great one was
Kingdom of Heaven?
Well, I would say Gladiator, which was done by Ridley Scott.
Right.
I'm talking about the
Gladiator
last
came-
classic in 2000.
yeah.
Kingdom of Heaven was
Gladiator,
later.
yeah.
Kingdom of Heaven was like 2004.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but Gladiator was 2000, and that was Ridley Scott. So that was the
Right.
last, and it was great casting. It was a great story, and that one's an absolute classic and won Best Picture.
Hall of Fame, whatever.
Yeah,
you wanna
yeah,
call it.
seriously.
Phenomenal film.
I was gonna say a lot of people were shitting on the it's not really a Johnny Depp movie, but he's in it. Lone Gunman. I actually
Lone
really,
Gunman?
Which
I
one is
really
that?
like
The Lone Ranger.
Lone Ranger. Oh yeah,
The Lone
Like,
Gunman.
what are you talking
Lone Ranger. Yeah, with,
Oh, that
what's
was
the
a
guy's
pretty bad
what's the
movie.
guy's name?
Armie
really
Hammer.
li-
Armie Hammer.
What's that? Quentin Tarantino said it was his favorite film
did
of
say
the
that.
year. He said it's the best movie made this year.
That
when
was
movie
shocking
came out.
when he
And
said that.
I've rewatched that movie because they keep looping it on fucking HBO. And I've watched it like 3 or 4 times, and I really like that movie. I think
Really?
Armie Hammer is great. I think
Yeah, no, he was
Johnny
really good.
Depp's,
He was
you know,
really good.
yeah, there's some, you know,
But
he's
it was
playing
just
Native
like
American.
another,
but,
like-
He says he has some in him. So
It was like a
Yeah.
hangover of
It's like
Captain
Elizabeth
Jack Sparrow.
Warren.
If you see the performance, really,
That's
'cause
probably why.
I
Very
idolize Johnny
eccentric.
Depp.
Yeah.
I
It was
really
a-
do.
It was also directed by Gore Verbinski, who I love as a
Pirates
director.
of the Caribbean,
Yeah,
Rango.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Rango.
And
he
you
did
thought
The Ring.
like them coming together, this would
Yeah.
be the next level, and the budget was $250 million,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that. It ended up being horrible disaster.
That came after, right? Shanghai Nights.
Oh yeah,
way
after,
after,
way
way
after.
Was it
Yeah,
way
yeah,
after?
Yeah, yeah, almost.
Way after.
Maybe like 8,
Almost
9
a
years.
decade.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
feel like
people
it's
were
only
just
been out for a
hating
few
it
years,
because-
right? It was like
Yeah.
a few years ago.
Yeah,
It was like
maybe people were just hating
2015,
it because
2014.
he just
5
did
years?
Yeah, something like
Pirates
that.
of the Caribbean, and it's literally kind of the same character.
It really was. It really
So
was.
it's
I
kind
mean,
of, wait, did they just
I don't know.
Again, it's hard to do a Western.
I can differentiate, and
hard
I
to do
love
a Western.
westerns. So
I mean, 316.
I'm sorry, I have to stop everything
But
for a
not a
second.
$250 million movie. If you could do a lower budget one that's more contained, you can do a True Grit and all that. But you trying to do a huge blockbuster
Right.
Western? That's
Yeah.
fucking Cowboys and Aliens couldn't do it.
Oh my God,
Wild Wild
it's
West
so
couldn't do it. Fucking a Lone Ranger.
Right.
But you could do 310 to Yuma. It's great. True Grit is great, and they're successful because they
They're literally true
$30
Westerns.
million
Yeah,
budget.
Really
30
true
yeah,
Westerns.
yeah,
But
exactly.
why the fuck you have your shades on inside? I'm just asking.
So are they still on? Holy
They're
shit.
still on. Yeah, I was
Oh
like,
my god!
there's lights. There's lights.
Jesus.
I thought it looked pretty cool, man. He
I-
had,
I
a
was
whole
fine with it.
swag
I was
going
just
and everything.
confused by it.
I was digging the look.
I didn't actually realize
Is he
that.
hiding- is he
I let
hiding
it
the
slide. I
drugs?
thought maybe they were prescription.
I was digging
They
the look.
actually aren't. Here's what happened. Neil drove me in today. He picked
Oh.
me up, and I don't usually wear these in the car because they're not prescription.
By the way, he just put them back on.
I put them back on. It's too fucking bright.
I just literally
What's this
thought
white
you
lights
had
like
your.
I got him asylum in here.
Oh, I thought you just had your snorting session Saturday night, and I was like, we talked about this.
No, that was Friday night.
Friday. Okay.
No, I wasn't snorting.
Keep it away from Sunday.
I did drink though. The $4 fucking happy hour at the place we were at.
That's what.
yeah, that's
$4 cocktails.
That's true.
I mean, there's rail drinks.
Nick's
rail
over there.
liquor,
One more.
He was.
that wasn't that bad. Actually, wasn't. They were like watering that shit down. They're like $4
No,
because
dude,
it was
that
water.
shit wasn't watered down, man. That shit was some potent ass shit.
Nick, that's him like after 7.
Lightweight over here.
I don't drink, so I don't know.
This
And
guy has one
I have
drink
like
and
a
he's
little bit
throwing
of
up an hour
alcohol.
later.
Yeah, I'm not
Diego,
big
you don't
fan.
really drink all that
I
much.
gotta
Not
say this
really.
real quick. We went to a show. It was a Chris Rock stand up or whatever. Anyways, we
Yeah.
were getting drinks there at the MGM Grand Casino and
Oh,
Hotel.
we gotta tell this
He
story.
literally ordered Long Island iced tea.
That's my.
Oh
He
my
sent it
God.
back
If
because there was
somebody's like
too
in
much
a rush
alcohol
and
in it.
they're like, pick a drink. We gotta go. And I'm just like, Long Island. That's the first thing that pops in my head every time.
He literally.
This lady gave us a Long Island. It was a 64-ounce
God
cup
bless
with
her.
like one ice cube floating in it. It was just all liquor. All liquor. And I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? Like, she's trying to murder me? Like, I want to watch Chris Rock. I don't want to, like, die in the seat. So
He sent it back.
I didn't send it
You
back.
gave
I-
it to somebody
I gave
else.
it to
You
Matt.
wanted to send it back, but you didn't want to get out of your seat.
I drank
you
like
lazy
this
fuck.
much. I drank like 10 ounces, and then I handed it to my friend, and he killed
But
it.
he was like too much alcohol. Like what? What is that English?
It's a
No,
real.
no, what I'm
People
really
die of
fascinated
alcohol
about is like
poisoning.
someone who doesn't drink. That's the first drink you chose. Like the end all be all when it comes to getting
Yeah.
fucked up.
But what's weird is like your guys' cups came in like little, like 16 ounce. I got some 64 ounce or something.
They knew how to regulate. They didn't
like,
just
what the
shout out
fuck?
Long Island.
It's like they ran out of cups and she just grabbed like one of those.
It's natural
big
selection,
gulps or
dude.
something.
Natural selection.
It was weird, man.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that has nothing to do with
That-
the movies
Hey.
that we love.
But that's what
time
you
do
do
we
when
have
you watch a bad movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
That's
much
why
time
we
do we
like
have
them.
left?
We have plenty of time.
All right, so let's
Don't. Hey, there's no calling out time. You hear you're stuck. This is a prison, dude.
I'm just trying to see how far we can go into this because I got a whole.
Oh
list
well,
of
we
movies
just
that-
named the movie. Now you got to name one.
you name.
Oh, you kind of brought it up a little like 5 minutes ago. Wild Wild West, dude.
Really?
I knew he was gonna say that.
I knew you.
Dang.
I
You love Wild Wild West?
love that
Wild
movie.
Wild West. Jim West. Desperado.
Desperado.
Ain't want
Rough
nada.
Rider. No, you don't want
none
nada.
of
None of this. Six
Ooh.
cut. I mean, I can keep
Six.
going.
Yeah, you should actually.
But honestly, like it was a whole steampunk. I love steampunk. I'm fascinated by
It really
steampunk.
is, yeah.
All right, and just seeing like an African American in that time frame, and Calvin Klein was phenomenal in that movie too. It was just such a great
it's a remake too of a show.
Is it?
Yeah, Wild Wild West
Yeah.
was a remake with a white guy. So
Right.
like they updated it.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, that's a remake of 1960s, I think.
I gotta double check that. But no,
Yeah.
I love that
think it's
movie.
TV
I've seen it
series.
numerous times. I even got the Burger King glasses. I don't know if you guys
Oh,
remember they came out with that.
wow.
I used to rock those too. I love that
Dude.
movie.
How old were you when it came out?
God, maybe 11?
Came out in 99.
11, 12?
Okay.
Are you
Yeah,
age
so-
guessing?
Well, no, now I know. Got your number. No. So it came out in 99.
11, 12. I went to
11,
the
12,
theater.
yeah.
I went to the theater
Yeah,
to watch
so did
it.
I. Yeah.
And
That because that was his first flop after like he was doing really good and it flopped and people shat
What
on
was
it
right
whatever.
before
You know-
that? Independence Day or no?
Independent Men in Black.
Men in Black.
Men in
was
Black.
right.
And you know what he
Which
turned
I
down for?
disliked.
He did Bad Boys.
That was his
Independence
first
It's in our
flop.
Matrix, yeah.
That was his first flop for me.
Men in Black.
I didn't
too.
like Men in
But
Black.
I will admit, I don't think it was.
That's a different podcast.
We've had this conversation.
We gotta have this.
Because these
all right, not
guys
right now,
love
but
Men in
okay.
Black.
Seriously?
Do you
First
love Men in
one.
Black?
I
Do you love all of them?
love Men in Black. All of them.
No.
Oh,
I
I
like
love
three.
three.
The
I really
three.
love three.
First
Second
three.
one really disappointed me.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, so wow, really interesting that you bring that up. Do you ever see the Kevin Smith An Evening with Kevin Smith Q&A where he talks about John Peters, the producer of Wild Wild West, and he tried to get he tells the whole story. Kevin Smith tells the whole story of him writing a Superman movie because he was supposed to write that one that that Nicolas Cage and Tim Burton ended up doing. Tim Burton came on and then didn't use the script Kevin Smith, but Kevin Smith
Great documentary,
wrote
by
a
the way.
script. Yeah, really
Great
good one. Yeah,
documentary.
Superman Lives. R.I.P. to the director of that documentary, John Schweppes. He just died. But anyway, so Kevin Smith had written in the '90s, mid '90s, so Clerks, Mallrats era. He wrote a script for Superman. And he met up with John Peters. John Peters was the producer of the Batman movies, the early ones, Michael Keaton and all that. And he just basically tells how John Peters out of his fucking mind and would sit there on the couch and he'd put his viewfinder hands up like this. He goes, "Okay, read me the script. Tell me the movie. And he would just do that shit. He's like, this guy's out of his fucking mind. And he told him there has to be a big mechanical spider, a big, huge spider that he has to fight at the end of this movie. That is a must. It's required. That has to be in the
man.
script.
See,
Wow.
I
And
want to
so
work with a
it
director
did-
like that. That's just
A
like
producer,
so.
yeah.
Or a producer, yeah. It's just so
So
insane.
he ended up that ended up happening, and then 1999, Wild Wild West comes out, produced by John Peters, and what do we have? the
giant
big
spider.
fucking spider.
That's funny.
So it finally ended up in a movie.
That's
awesome.
hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull out one last one because
Yeah.
we gotta close this out. That I don't think is as bad as people say, which is Matrix Revolution.
I think we talked about this in the last
Did
one.
we?
Actually. I think so, but let's talk about it again because
I love all three of them.
Likewise.
okay.
When they came out, I was like, okay, this isn't as good as The Matrix. And then when the Revolutions came out, I was like, oh, this isn't as good as The Matrix.
Yeah.
But now I love all three of them. So.
It's like if you have three children and you know that your
One's
first,
great.
your
Yeah.
oldest child and your firstborn is really your favorite, but you can never say it out loud.
Right.
But the second and third ones are like, no, I still like them too.
Yeah, they're great.
They're great,
They're
but
just
like,
not as good as
yeah, and it's sort of like,
Well, here's the thing: like the first
if
one,
I never see them again, it's okay.
like it did things that you never seen before.
Yeah.
And the second and third played off of that. So it's not
Yeah.
like they brought anything new to the cinema. They just played off of what they created.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know if people are just expecting. I want to see Neo go jump up in the air, stop, teleport now to a different location, get a Slurpee, teleport back, and then kick the guy in the face. I don't know what you're expecting, but I think it played off the first one. I think all that hype was died down by the Revolution.
Yeah.
Reloaded.
Reload. No.
Reloaded then Revolution.
Revolution. That's what I'm talking. I think
third
the-
one. Yeah.
You're talking about the third one, right?
I'm talking about the third
Reload.
Revolution. Yeah.
That's Revolution.
I thought the hype of that first one started dying down by the third one, but people were just like not getting what they wanted from it. I don't
Yeah.
know, but it's still the story and everything coming together. I thought it was pretty good.
All three
I
of
thought
them.
it's.
I don't know now about the
If you
fourth
rewatch
one.
them, they're pretty impressive films. I think for the
Phenomenal.
time. But everybody always goes back to the CG of like the Reloaded scene where he's fighting all the Agent Smiths or whatever,
Yeah.
which is crazy. Like even at the time, I remember thinking like,
That's not as bad as the
This doesn't
Revolution
look
scene where
good,
he's
but-
fighting him in the sky in the
Right.
rain. That just, it's so, they were doing that
It's
video
that-
game thing at the time and I hated
well, it
it.
was like The Rock and
Took me out of it. In
Mummy
Scorpion
2.
King. Scorpion King.
Well, not Scorpion King, and the Mummy 2, the second Mummy movie.
Is that the one where when they have the
where
really
he's,
shitty face?
he's like the scorpion.
Somebody
but
did
it's
a deep
rock's
fake of
head
that.
or whatever.
Somebody did a deep
Yeah,
fake.
they
It
did-
looks so much better.
Yeah, they put like
Right.
his real face on there, but it's like that they couldn't quite match like a person you knew. Like if you were
Yeah.
doing a random person nobody knew, then it would be fine.
It
But if
became
you're
an
trying to-
animated film at that moment.
Right.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And
But
the Matrix has that.
Yeah,
Nick was
so-
like, "Do I pick
that
up a
uncanny
PlayStation
valley
controller
shit.
here? I don't
So
know."
I've always basically said that Matrix Reloaded, Matrix Revolutions fucked up the franchise, and I really was just
Really?
disappointed. I used to always say that, right? And I'm not a movie hater, so I'd always go, I enjoyed it, but there were a lot of flaws. And that first Matrix movie is near perfect.
It really is.
I rewatched it today, and I'm still like,
It
this
didn't
is.
need any sequels at
It
all.
didn't. If
Yeah.
it never did anything else, it would probably be one of the greatest movies of all time. I
Right.
think because you came out with the second and third one, people kind of just
tainted it.
recontextualized
Yeah,
it.
they got a
Yeah,
fourth one coming out.
but then I rewatched Reloaded and Revolutions in the last few months, and I really kind of paid attention to it, and I read a little bit more about like kind of explanations of what the fuck's going on because
Yeah.
they can get very confusing, and you're like, what is happening? And I picked up so much more, and I was like,
Right.
these are actually pretty great.
They're really
Yeah.
They're not like the original one at all, but there is a lot more going on here and a lot,
a lot of
more
depth in the story.
There's a lot of
There's
depth.
a lot of depth in
There
the
is
story.
a lot going on, and there's a lot of like, I don't know.
Like during that fight, the rain fight that he fought
Yeah.
Agent Smith.
Yeah.
If you hear the dialogue,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. What they're talking about it's a great dialogue, and
Yeah.
I think that's not the fight, but the dialogue made that scene. And people that just paid attention to the animation and the fights, they really didn't get what actually happened at that moment.
I mean, honestly, going off of Diego's earlier comment, I don't know what people were expecting when they went into those films.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it was phenomenal films, like classic films, and let's see what the fourth one brings. But one
Yeah,
thing I just
I'm
want to kind
excited
of throw
about
out there, speaking of the Wachowskis, one movie I am a diehard fan of, watch like pretty much
don't
once
say
a
it.
month.
I know where you're gonna go.
Speed Racer!
Oh,
Speed
Jesus.
Racer. I just had a
an
conversation with my
interesting
brother about
film.
this like
Speed
yesterday.
Racer.
Yeah, Speed
They're
That
not-
is a
they're nothing if not-
phenomenal film.
Not
I-
experimental, but they don't make a plain film. Like
Right.
they
No.
go out there and they do their
Right.
fucking thing, and that's
I liked
You gotta
Speed
give it to
Racer.
him.
I
Love
liked
it.
the one
Jupiter
with
Ascending.
Jupiter
Ascending.
Ascending. I like that
Yeah,
too.
Cloud
Actually,
Atlas.
people hated that movie.
That was a really good.
And
one.
I didn't watch it because of all the negativity around it. And then, I'm not a big
Channing Tatum
fan
Yeah.
or what's
Charming
his name?
Tate Man.
Mila Kunis.
Mila Kunis, yeah. So I just never watched it, and then I randomly saw it on sale or something for like $5. I was like, "Fuck it, I'll just buy this movie." So I
DVD or
bought
Blu-ray?
He
it.
literally looked
Blu-ray.
like.
And then I watched it, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like,
Yeah.
I'm
was
I'm
very
big into
dark.
that space opera that
Yeah.
that has like this dark twist, and I thought that both of them were fine.
Yeah, well, movies they weren't they didn't direct, but they were involved in. Assassins. They wrote that.
You mean back in, like, the 90s?
Antonio
Oh, yeah, I
Banderas
love
and
my
Sylvester
favorite
Stallone.
film.
It's a good movie.
My
They wrote
favorite-
that.
One of my favorite films.
Yeah,
Really?
that's the kind of movie that helped them get The Matrix
Right.
because they wrote that film. And it
That's
was-
one of my favorite
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone films.
It's great. And V for Vendetta.
Yeah.
That movie is so fucking
Yeah.
good, and they were producers on that film.
I think
They
we
made
all
it.
can
I
agree
think-
Cloud Atlas was just
I enjoyed Cloud Atlas.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I thought because of the way they told the story, I thought that was very interesting. How they were jumping between all these different timelines. But I've never read the book, and I had a friend of mine read the book, and he was like, "Oh, it's a horrible movie." If you've read the book, so I don't know what that means.
I think, but just going back to Jupiter Ascending, I think my issue with Channing Tatum was the
Charming
fact
Tate Man.
Charlie
I tried not
Charlie
to say
Chaplin.
that.
Yeah.
Charming
Chaplin.
Yeah. It was the fact that he looked like Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. The after episode when the king did the doo-doo thing with the elf.
What?
You get this bulked up child with the ears.
Oh, so if like
And I was like,
Aragorn and
yeah,
Liv
Aragorn,
Tyler
yeah,
had
Liv
like
Tyler
a
had
baby,
a baby.
it would be
Boom,
Charming
Chan-
Tate Man because he basically has pointy
pointy
elf
ears,
ears.
Yeah. Boom.
Yeah.
all right.
Anywho.
I see what you're saying.
All right, let's just do a quick honorable mention and then we'll close out. Go ahead, Nick.
Well, fuck me. Put me on a
Oh,
goddamn.
yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't-
go ahead,
I
Nick.
didn't know
Hold
we were
on.
doing honorable mention.
Wait, where's
Honorable
my,
mention, you just mentioned a film that you think also
my list?
just to put in people's head.
my fucking list disappeared.
Oh, I
Do
got one.
delete it?
I don't know how people feel about this, but apparently the internet doesn't like it. The beach.
Oh, I know.
The
I have
beach.
The
Oh,
Beach, yeah.
dude, come on.
I loved it.
Phenomenal.
I love that
Robert
movie.
Carlyle
That
in
was
The
the first
Cell
movie
and- yeah.
I thought DiCaprio was a good actor. Like the first movie I saw him in, where I was like, this guy can fucking.
You obviously
act
didn't
like
watch
this
many
guy.
of his movies before then because
sure
fucking
did.
This Boy's
Basketball
Life,
Diaries,
Basketball
like,
Diaries
seriously?
is my shit. I saw the shit in theaters
I've
when I
never
was 8
seen.
years
I
old.
haven't seen either. of those.
Blue, my dad didn't believe
hold
it.
on.
Said we did.
Sorry.
Are you throwing phones?
I am, man. Somebody just said something that just pissed me off. I'm sorry. I dropped the phone.
I watched all his movies as
Oh,
kids.
wow.
My dad brought me to everything, so we went to the theaters. Me and my dad. Basketball Diaries, fucking crazy movie, but he's so good in that movie. So yeah,
All right.
yeah.
And the beach
Anyways,
is fantastic.
A
yeah.
Beach is great. Honorable mention. Okay, Terminator Salvation / Terminator Genesis. Okay, not as good as the original Terminator movies, but I really
Which
enjoyed
one
it.
was Salvation?
Salvation was with Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Oh, I liked it.
As
I give
John
you that.
Connor.
Nick
I give
G
you-
directed that.
I
Yeah,
like
he
Christian
sure did.
Nick
Yeah.
G, yeah.
But I thought Salvation was actually really good.
Charlie's
and
Angels
Genesis, I
director.
really enjoyed in theaters. You know when I saw it. So, but they are nothing like the originals, and I can absolutely.
Genesis
Say
is
that.
with
That's the one with
Khaleesi.
yeah.
Khaleesi.
I don't
great.
know if I
Jai
forgot her
Courtney
name.
and Amelia Clark, and yeah.
I think
They
that
redo
that's
the
what's
first
fucking
one.
up the
Byung-Hun
Terminator
Lee,
is this
let's not
whole
forget.
like
What's that?
Byung-Hun Lee.
the future
Korean
gets
actor?
changed.
Oh
New
yeah.
movie.
Is he
They can just
New-
it means they can make a movie
Metal
every 5
dude.
years.
Exactly.
whatever,
Yeah,
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 whatever
They're still
his
good.
name was. in that
That's
one.
why I didn't like the new one. All right, honorable mention.
Van Helsing.
Fuck you, dude. That was my movie.
How?
He loves that too.
I love Van
I
Helsing.
love Van Helsing.
I'm not a
Van
huge
Helsing.
fan of that film.
Where's Steven Summers?
Where
Why is he
is
not
Steven
making fucking
Summers?
movies? I want more Steven
I want
Summers
Mummy
blockbusters.
6, Mummy 7.
He
Van
only
Helsing
directed
was my
the first
film.
two.
Summers.
He only did the first two, and he didn't even really want to do the second one.
Yeah.
But the studio was like, "We'll let you do Van Helsing if you do the second one."
And the last
it was
movie
like,
he did
"All right."
was with the rest in peace actor. Forgot his name from the Green Room. He was in Star Trek 2. Anton
Yelkin,
Yeah,
who was
he did-
also
Oh,
in
wow,
Terminator
okay.
Salvation as Kyle Reese, a young Kyle
Serious?
Reese. Yeah.
No, we need to bring
Connection.
Steven Summers.
I
back.
remember he did the GI Joe movie.
Yeah, he did. But
Yeah.
like that was like
First one?
his last
I
movie.
think he
was
did the
that
first one. Yeah.
So what do you got?
I had no. I
Van
literally-
Helsing was yours?
Van Helsing was mine. Literally was mine.
Man, you're like a
So-
retroactive
I
biter.
did that
I
hat.
know, I am.
I just rewatched Van Helsing, man. That fucking hat, dude, is like the size of his like 7 Van Helsings. Like, you know what I'm talking about? He's got that huge hat.
That big floppy ass hat. It's
That was
got a huge
awesome.
hat.
That was so awesome.
His
His
hat
hat
is
is way oversized.
Right.
Hugh Jackman's hat. It's literally on the
Oh.
poster. The hat he's wearing.
The hat he's wearing is like, and
It's
his,
like the
and
size
his
of
like
a-
leather coat is like way too big for him.
It
but
is
I love
not
it. It's great.
practical at all.
No.
No, what was fascinating to me, like when I was following that movie from conception, like
Yeah.
the fact that hey, Universal was doing this everything on
Universal
the website.
Monsters.
We're putting Dracula, Werewolf, and Frankenstein in one movie, and it's directed by the guy who made Mummy, which I freaking love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hooked from day one on that.
But
movie.
Monster Squad did it best with the Universal Monsters. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
guys. They
Oh,
can
yeah.
never top that.
Oh, yeah.
The Monster Squad, 19. You can check that out. Have you seen
need
that?
to watch that.
It's like Goonies, but it's different. It's 1987.
Yeah.
Right,
And everyone's
written by
in it.
Shane
All the
Black.
monsters
Nick
are in
watches it every night before he goes to bed.
It's so good. Directed by Fred Decker. Written by Shane Black.
I got one. I'm gonna finish
Monster
mine off
Squad.
with something that a lot of people got a lot of hate. I mean, a lot of hate. You guys know what I mean by a lot of hate?
A lot of hate.
Yeah.
There you go.
A lot of it.
Battlefield Earth. So
Oh,
I'm-
you actually like that movie?
I actually
Yeah,
did
that's it.
like that film. I'm not saying it was great. I'm saying I actually liked that film.
I fell
So-
asleep in the theaters on that one, but I think I just wasn't getting a lot of sleep at that time.
I feel like I read some of the book, which I liked, but I watched that movie and I don't know how I feel about it. I've seen that movie many times since
really
since
good
it
movie.
came
That's my
out.
point.
And I don't know how
That's
I feel
my
about
point.
it. To be honest
You've
with you,
watched
because
I
it
really
multiple times. That's my point. For some reason, I've watched that film so many times.
It's
Yeah.
a really good film.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
very.
it really
It's so
is.
I like it. Something
Yeah,
inside of
there
me
is
likes
some.
it.
It's like there's these
I don't
B
know.
movies that are like that sometimes. I think I'd rather have the worst movie of all time than a movie that people forget and don't even know what the fuck it is.
Right.
So
yeah,
Right.
I definitely don't think it deserved all the hate that it got.
Yeah.
Like it was like ridiculous because
Right.
I've seen some movies that were just like
yeah.
really bad. But this movie at least had like pretty good production value and makeup.
Right,
And, you
right.
know, an interesting.
Your
story.
powers of observation are
like- what's his
simply
name?
astounding.
I always
That's a
like
line for
Barry
that.
Pepper as an actor.
Barry Pepper
I
and
think
Forrest
he's a
Whitaker.
fantastic actor. Yeah.
And John Travolta.
I know. I haven't
Come on.
seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, John
Face
Travolta.
Off.
He
yeah.
did great. He did great.
And Forrest Whitaker. God, I forgot all these
I mean,
people
but
were in
that was
this
a
movie.
passion project for John Travolta,
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
with the whole Scientology
Yeah.
thing. But even the director said that this is not the movie I wanted to make.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
completely
wow.
lost control over everything and ended up being
Jesus.
what it was.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was a great film. I've seen it multiple times.
Right.
Yeah.
Rollerball being one of them too, by the way.
Rollerball, yeah.
Rollerball, I freaking love Rollerball.
I do,
I
too.
own it on Blu-ray.
Was that the guy who did Resident Evil? Who did that?
Oh,
I don't know the director, but it was LL Cool J and it was
guy
Rebecca
from Meet the
Romaine
Girl?
Stamos, and it was
the director of Resident
Fuck,
Evil.
Resident Evil.
He did
good
Event
job.
Wes,
Horizon.
no, Anderson. No,
West
Paul W.S. Anderson.
Paul W.
Paul
Anderson.
W.S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Event
Mortal
Horizon's
Kombat.
another one. A
Mortal
lot of
Kombat.
people.
No,
No,
directed
don't
that
even.
as well?
If people
Mortal
hate that
Kombat's my
movie, that's
shit.
because they were
Best
scared.
video game movie of all time.
Don't even say Event
Assassin's
Horizon because if people
Assassin's
hate that
Creed.
movie, it's because they were pissing in their
I love
pants
Mortal
while they were
Kombat.
watching
I mean,
that
that's
film.
true.
That's
It's not an
literally
argument.
my
Mortal
like
Kombat.
scariest movie I've ever seen. I would say.
Really?
I'm watching that today, by the way.
Event Horizon.
It's
Scariest
literally
movie you've ever
it's one
seen?
of the most scariest film I've ever seen.
He's not the first person to say that to me, by the way.
Mortal
It is a scary
There's
movie, which is
That-
funny
that's-
because
Are you
Talking
saying that
about
was
Event
bad?
Horizon,
Oh
not
no, I
Mortal
love Mortal Kombat. But we are talking over each other so much. People are gonna be like, "What are they saying?"
No, here's the problem that everybody's saying the movie while we're talking. Yeah,
Yeah, it's hard enough with three people. You had a fourth one, and it's
we're
like,
having like these two-way conversations.
exactly. All right, so we'll close it on that. That's a lot of films. I'm gonna watch Battlefield Earth soon.
There you go.
I really am. I don't know why, but I'm gonna watch it. So.
a great film.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us here at Get to the Movies. That's Get to the Movies with the number 2. My name is Diego D'Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
And I'm Sobi. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Still love us because we named off a lot of films that you probably hate.
What are you
but love
saying?
us. I'm
We
trying
need
to
to
get back some viewership.
Approve your closings and your openings for these
You and
shows.
We need to go back to Wild West.
Wild Wild West. Wait, Selby, take us out with the Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild
Rap.
We're going straight. Hey, I'm
the Wild Wild West. We're going straight to the Wild 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 West.
That's a Stevie Wonder.
That is a Stevie
Oh,
Wonder.
that is.
With
Let me
Cisco,
try.
with Cisco.
Going
The Cisco doing it, yeah.
to
That's right.
the I'm moving my head
Dong
left and right
song.
because this is an audio podcast.
Wow, you didn't have to say that.
Dong song.
Good night, everybody.
Thong song.
That's it.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.